Kia ora, g'day, welcome back. This is part 3 of my reaction to the stuff that's been happening with Mr. Heston Russell, or this may be well out of date. I haven't had a look at how long ago this was from, but the rubbish that ABC News has put out in that twat Mark Willesee anyway. So if you're here for this, let's jump back in.
Corporal Scott Smith was an engineer and a member of the Special Operations Task Group. He was the only soldier that Heston lost in Afghanistan, and he died on the 21st of October 2012. The ABC's article was published on the very day of the 8th anniversary in October 2020.
How did he die?
He detonated a zero metal content pressure plate IED and was blown into a million pieces over 300 metres.
Scott was commemorated on this last Anzac Day dawn service by his family at North Bondi.
People talk about the Anzac spirit. I watched guys fighting for their lives, fighting to protect others who were picking up Scott. I sat back and I was inspired by the most magnificent men I've ever met. And they are the men on that day that the ABC published an article to call them war criminals. And that is something I will fight to the death to defend as long as I draw breath.
But despite Heston's fighting spirit, the accusations that Aussie commandos had killed an Afghan prisoner in order to make space on a helicopter persisted for over a year. And the national broadcaster continued to make the public believe the allegation was true.
And that's the key, eh? The media continued to make the public believe. Well, they're assisting. They're not making anybody believe it. They're pumping out the message, though, enough times and loud enough and consistently enough that, you know, those that haven't been there, that haven't served, that don't take the time to ask any questions, that maybe harbour negative feelings towards the military in general just because, whatever their reasons are, it's not going to be difficult to sway a lot of people's thoughts and or opinions and or feelings about the Defence Force in general, and or in particular about a Special Forces unit such as the Commando.
Doubling down with more stories based on non-existent evidence, which ABC staffers, including Investigations Unit boss Joe Puccini, tweeted about.
The ABC told the public that there was an active criminal investigation into an Aussie commando unit, which had been confirmed by the Defence Department. And yet the very next day, the Defence Department said that's not true.
They went as far as saying against the Australian commando unit accused of executing a prisoner because they wouldn't fit on a helicopter. They linked the two stories together in that exact statement. And you're right, the Department of Defence came out straight away and said, you know, we haven't confirmed that.
That's a big call to make, isn't it? That's a big lie to publish.
Massive.
So then why doesn't the Defence Force do anything about it? Or did they do something about it? On what is it?
But the impact of the public pressure was driving Heston to the edge.
I felt like I was in the middle of a conspiracy.
It was around about this time that I was hosting a radio talkback program, and I contacted the ABC's Investigations Unit to ask if one of them would come onto the show to discuss the Heston Russell saga. Well, no surprise, they didn't agree. But during the court case, an email emerged from Joe Puccini, the head of the unit, briefing Mark Willesee on how to manage a potential conversation with me. Can I read that to you? Do you mind?
Please.
Joe Puccini, you're another twat, the supposed head of the investigation team, advising Mark Willesee how to handle an interview. You've already said no, declined it, and then you go and send those comms. Puppets, eh? And bloody gutless. That's what they are. Joe Puccini and the Mark Willises of the world, and that whole ABC Blanken debacle.
So, Liam, you'll appreciate that I can't comment about that while there's an ABC investigation and other police investigations going on into this matter. Or something like that. Something, says Joe Puccini, that might freak Heston out a little.
They harassed him. They were cruel. I don't know why they targeted Heston. Is it his sexuality? I don't know.
Freaking Heston out was certainly on the agenda. And now another journalist from the ABC's investigations unit, Josh Robertson, was on the hunt for dirt.
I kept my sexuality a secret from my entire career, and I never wanted to be the first gay commando, let alone the first gay commando officer.
Auntie's digging revealed that Heston had an OnlyFans account, and he was using it to raise funds for a veterans charity.
This OnlyFans saga came out of a period where I was seeking affirmation, I was seeking acceptance, and I was not in a good mental state. And I allowed my pursuit of affirmation to get in the way of my logic and reasoning.
Former soldier and Values Party founder Heston Russell lied about selling porn online while fundraising for veterans charity.
So the ABC actively hunted for a nude picture of you.
Absolutely. Josh Robertson contacted people through a gay troll forum and got them to go and screen record and screenshot private messages that I had sent to them, and then published one of those images on the ABC News with my genitals blurred out.
So let me ask you the question straight out. I mean, were you guilty of dishonest conduct to a veterans charity?
I don't believe so.
The agreement was they didn't want money if it was going to come from a pornographic picture.
That's incorrect. I have messages from the Swiss 8 guys saying, hey, we need the money and whatever you're doing is obviously working.
You knew the underlying agreement was for not using risque content.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm really glad this reporter, investigative journalist, sorry, I can't remember his name, bloody hell, this is the third reaction, I should know his name by now. Apologies for that. I'm glad that he's asking the question because, yeah, it's all well and good to say we need the money and whatever you're doing is obviously working, but surely there was some sort of, whether it's verbal or written, I don't care, some sort of agreement in and around where that money comes from. It'd be almost like, you know, we need the money, send it, whatever you're doing is working, but I'm getting it through a side hustle of dealing in contraband or something like that, you know. You wouldn't go sending it there. So, yeah, anyway, I don't think that's a good way of going about it.
Yeah, that would be a fair assumption to make. Yep. I made an assumption that the money coming into them is what was the priority, and I chose to be dishonest in not telling them that I had started sending private pictures to someone else, but I did not believe that it was their entitlement to know.
I'm glad that he's owned up to it, taken responsibility for it, but yeah, that, like I said though, yeah, it may not be their entitlement to know. They don't need to know all the details of who you've sent something to. In this case here, with regards to, you know, sending nude photos of himself to somebody else, like, I don't care, none of my business. But if the people that you're working with and you're receiving money for doing that and sending it to somebody else and then going, here's your money, maybe just as a courtesy, out of respect, you might want to say, before I send it to you, I'm getting this money by doing this, and just keeping it broad brushstrokes without going into all the details, but enough information that they could then make a more informed decision anyway. And I think they probably would have said, hey, no thanks, probably. But if they had said yes, well then you've got evidence then to support or to have the blessing, so to speak, of sending them that money that you've received through that avenue.
But Heston, what were you thinking? What possible good could have ever come out of you getting your kid off and taking shots of you holding your weapon and selling them for money?
Because the OnlyFans story, I've got to say, it all looked pretty grubby.
Terrible. Absolutely. But I will not have anyone put any shame on me for my adult decision to take photos of myself and provide them to people privately.
Hey, that's a fair enough point. What an adult wants to do with their own life and who they want to send stuff to, I guess is their it's their business. If it's going to impact, in this case the charity, I'm guessing is what it's impacted, then maybe a different story, especially if they find out about it. But for media to go hunting around and contacting people that Heston has sent images of himself to, far out. It's like, where does that sort of stuff end in terms of researching into anybody, really? Myself, yourself, anybody. Just maybe there is no end to that. I'm pretty sure that journalist that was digging up the dirt probably wouldn't want people digging into his.
They just kept at him and at him and at him, like they were just trying to push him to the edge. I've lost 3 family members in 3 years, my mother, father and an older sister, and it felt like they were trying to push Heston off a bridge.
Were you worried about his mental health to
Definitely,
any great extent?
Yeah.
When the OnlyFans story became public, Barbara heard from worried friends and relatives, and she rushed to see her son.
I woke up to the intercom of the apartment I was at buzzing. I couldn't even recognise the voice on the end. It was my mum. Sorry.
You're right, mate.
Sorry to pause this here. It's just, the thought comes to mind, just again, I think I might have mentioned this in the second reaction, just how impactful the 3 years, this saga, however long it had been going on for up until this point, maybe longer, but the impact and the power that the media has and the devastation that it can cause to people's lives. Thankfully, I don't know what he's about to get into, but thankfully nothing's happened, but clearly something's triggering Heston right now, not recognizing his mum's voice, mums being who they are and that parental connection to their child. They're going to look to be there and fight to the death for their child, for their loved one. And she's clearly concerned enough to need to go and see her son in this case, to see what's going on, and to see how he is, because she's worried for him. Like she said, it felt like they were trying to push him off a cliff or something. Have a good hard look at yourselves, man. People that are in this, that have that position. Joe, whatever your face is, and Mark Willis's of the world, and that ABC blinking.
You can be as rough and tough as you like when it comes to your mum. It's another world, isn't it?
It was my mum. And she was crying. And she said, "Heston, is that you?" I was like, "Yeah, Mum, it's me. What's wrong?" She's like, I need to come up. Please let me up." And when she came up, it was only a few levels. I opened the door. Mum was a mess. Mum was crying. Her face was so red, and she just threw her arms around me. And she said, "I thought I'd lost you."
You're my boy.
So, my mum.
I don't want to lose them. No.
It was that bad.
Yeah, oh yeah, it still is. Just couldn't even think of a life without Heston. He's so brave. He's very courageous in what he's doing, standing up for his men. And he's achieving that, he's doing that. And that's what my mum, my dad, all of us want him to do, tell the truth.
Next, the bills we all have to pay for the ABC's vengeful crusade.
They need to care a lot more about taxpayers' money.
And their refusal to accept the blame.
My experience with the ABC is they fight to the death.
And later, how many insurgents did you kill? Rebecca Giles is the go-to solicitor, with a reputation for taking on high-profile, high-stakes media cases.
I think the personal attacks were so hurtful to him that potentially there was a hope that he wouldn't survive them.
It was...
That's what it seems like. And I think that's what the mum was picking up on as well when she spoke about it. It felt like they were trying to push him off a cliff. Push him to the point whereby, somebody that may not have had the resolve or the mental strength that he has shown and that he has might have taken the option to take their own life rather than stay and fight. And then in that case, then they can say, well, he's not here, so he must have been guilty. That's pretty cool.
July 26, 2022, when Giles and barrister Sue Chrysanthou took the first step in the defamation case and lodged their concerns notice on Heston's behalf.
My experience with the ABC is they fight to the death. So I knew it wouldn't be a small undertaking.
But that concerns notice offered the ABC an easy exit, to simply remove the articles and apologise. Amazingly, the offer was refused. How much could it have cost them? Bearing in mind when I say cost them, I mean cost us.
A few grand.
A few thousand.
In fact, at the beginning, Heston just wanted it taken down. And he wanted an apology. Cost nothing.
What followed was months of litigation and, ultimately, victory for Heston Russell and his platoon's reputation. But Giles says it was obvious the ABC had launched a doomed mission from the beginning.
It's clear to me from the documents that were before the court that Willisey received some information that suggested that Heston was a bad guy. And then he worked backwards to construct this story.
Willisey says that Russell only felt targeted because he was, as Willisey put it, extremely thin-skinned and very sooky.
I mean, and that is just shocking gaslighting, in my opinion. I think that there is a terrible hypocrisy here that, Willisey and the investigative journalist team at the ABC, it's their God-given right to speak truth to power, but no one is allowed to speak truth to them.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. If that's the case, I think they're just bad people. I think they're just shameless, evil people that, I don't know, what are they? Feeling inadequate? Did they want to join the military but couldn't get in because they were too useless, or what's the case? I don't know what it is. I don't think that's it either. I just think they're just people with very little to no morals and who seemingly really don't care who they impact or who they hurt. The impact that it could have had not only on Heston, but clearly it had on his mum, could have had on other family members, that it may have had on members of Heston's platoon team of which he was in charge. It just seems crazy to me, man, that you have people like that that are prepared to go to such lengths to make a person or a group of people, in this case, seem like war criminals who aren't.
Heston is no stranger to speaking truth to power. He'd been lobbying on behalf of veterans since his discharge in 2019 and has made plenty of noise of his own in Canberra. But the trail of destruction that the ABC had made of Heston's military service also found its way to Parliament House. And it stuck in the craw of Senator Sarah Henderson as an ongoing topic of interrogation in Senate estimates.
Mr. Anderson, I would put to you that it's not in the public interest to make false allegations about someone being a war criminal. What do you say to war veteran Heston Russell, who the ABC wrongfully accused of committing a war crime?
Senator, if you're asking for me to apologise to Mr. Russell, I'm not going to apologise to Mr. Russell.
This is a shocking reflection on the ABC and its culture. This has dragged a man through the mud, destroyed his reputation, which he had to go and fight for.
I was just horrified by what little value the ABC placed on the reputation of a serving member of our Defence Force and his platoon.
This is a very important lesson, frankly, to all journalists, but particularly to those journalists at the ABC. This is absolutely unacceptable conduct, and this should not be permitted under any circumstances.
That's all well and good, but it's not strong enough, eh? Like, if you can't even get an apology out of that fat clown in a suit, whatever his blinking chubby cheeks, bloody chops face was, what sort of message is it sending to the media? Oh, naughty, don't do that. Or we'll just use the taxpayers' money to pay the fine, and then let's move on to the next one. What's next on the agenda, Johnny? It's just, it's cool that this documentary or this piece has been done, but it's not enough, eh? Like, look at this bloody monstrosity here on the screen, this ABC. Look at the news, look at the reach that it has. And you can't even get some fat clown in a suit to apologise for the lies and the deceit that they've spread across the nation and internationally about an individual, Heston Russell, and or about his platoon and their actions. It's what good does it do?
You're very experienced in this area of law. Has there been many cases like this that you've seen and thought, wow, that surprises me?
Yeah, look, there's been a couple, and I have to say, they've always involved the ABC. But this is one that is I'm flabbergasted by, just the cost to the taxpayer. It was hopeless from the beginning to the end.
All up then, what do you estimate that this has cost the taxpayer?
Well, if you include the ABC's internal legal costs, I think you would be looking at something close to $3.5 million.
$3.5 million?
That's right.
So where do we go from here? Do we just both sort of sit here and say, oh, well, you know, $3.5 million taxpayers' money up in smoke?
I think the ABC needs to care a lot more about journalistic excellence, and they need to care a lot more about taxpayers' money. And the fact that David Anderson can sit in Senate estimates and not apologise is frankly disgraceful.
100% it's disgraceful. So what's the point of that Senate hearing, or whatever the hell it's called, if you can't even get a fat slob like that who's living off the efforts and hard work of people like Heston Russell and the soldiers that go out and serve day in, day out. And you can't even get a slob like that to take ownership. It's like, what's the point? No wonder people don't feel like voting. No wonder people don't have confidence in the political system, in government, etc. in general. For the most part, is my take, or maybe I'm wrong on that. But it is 100% disgraceful. But saying those should pay more attention to media excellence or whatever, reporting, whatever she said, and be more, careful with taxpayer dollars. I mean, those are good words. Those are words that shouldn't even need to be said, to be honest. You're an organization that's delivering the media that's supposed to be portraying what it is that you say people want to know or have an entitlement and or a right to know, and you're broadcasting BS. You're doctoring it to suit your narrative, and you're looking to railroad people, literally onto the railroad tracks or off a cliff in the hopes of trying to hide your lies and deceit and deception. It's, I appreciate the request for this, but is definitely makes me upset, angry, and it's not even affecting me personally, in terms of what Heston Russell has been through, and or his family and his team.
Coming up next, we seek answers from the ABC's Elite Investigations Unit.
I expected for these people to have lost their jobs.
And the questions they should have asked.
How many insurgents did you kill?
They probably got a promotion and a pay rise. It's ridiculous.
It's been a long 3 years for a digger who might well have thought he'd receive the respect and gratitude of his country after a decorated career, including active combat.
Saw the stress, but I didn't understand it until the day outside the courtroom when he won the case.
When you walked out of court that day, when you had the verdict go in your favour, you looked as though, obviously, you were very relieved.
Yeah.
But you weren't, completely joyous.
Well, I expected the very next day, as if it was me who'd been found to have done something deliberately wrong in my military career, for these people to have lost their jobs, for the head of the ABC to apologise to my soldiers, to their families, to my family, and to me.
Well, I'm standing here in a court of defamation trying to fight for the legacy of my soldiers, including one that I could not bring home.
You wanted somebody to pay the price.
Accountability.
As it should. Bloody, I think anybody would. If you've been dragged through the mud for 3 years, your platoon, the ADF to a degree, like where are they during this? Where is their voice? Where are those leaders standing next to Heston Russell? Where are they? They should have been there. That's my take. Maybe they're going to show up later. Maybe they waited till all the dust settled and he was vindicated and he was found to be not guilty. Then maybe they show up. Did they show up? Why is there no support for him? Like, these guys have gone and risked their lives on multiple deployment operations to carry out the mission for your agendas. And here he is fighting for his life and for the legacy, history of his platoon, of their families, including the gentleman who unfortunately didn't return home, and his family, as well as for Heston himself and his family. It's nuts, man. Why has the Defence Force not got his back? Why is there no repercussion for those clowns who broadcasted these lies and or for the organisation?
And for the record, we've given the ABC's investigations unit every chance to be accountable. We wanted to question Mark Willesee and Joe Piccini, even Managing Director David Anderson, and try to discover why they were so keen to throw one of our brave, decorated war veterans under the bus, and then refuse to apologise even when they were found to be in the wrong. All of them have refused to appear on camera. Not really surprising, given Justice Lee was highly critical of their failure to publish Heston Russell's side of the story in the first place. So we thought perhaps we should put the questions to Heston that they should have. Do you think any of your men were ever involved in an unlawful killing?
No, I do not. Hand on my heart. And if they do, I am the commander. I'm the one responsible. That is how command and leadership and these relationships work.
Did you ever see anything that you thought was untoward?
No, I didn't. And the biggest missing piece to this whole narrative is, Liam, we went on every single mission in Afghanistan with Afghan partner force.
How many insurgents did you kill?
You want to do this? Personally, I killed 7.
7. You counted them?
You do.
Before he passed, Heston's grandfather left him with some final words.
He simply said, "Don't let them do to your soldiers what they did to mine when we got back from Vietnam." And that is when the weight of my whole ancestral lineage weighed on my shoulders. And I refuse to let these people get away with these actions. Because if I can't stop them, who can?
We first contacted the ABC in June for comment on tonight's story. You can read their full statement on our website. If any veterans watching tonight have been affected by the issues raised in this episode, remember there is help available. You can contact Lifeline and the details are on your screen. That's all we have time for this evening. I'm Michael Usher. Thanks so much for your company and good night.
Thank you lot, for your efforts in looking into and bringing about the truth and shining a light on the blinking evil that appears to be the ABC and those in charge and those gutless cowards that don't even have the integrity to own their mistakes and apologize and to do the right thing. It seems that they are quite happy, as an observer looking in from the outside, seems that they're quite happy to have people that are prepared to lie and are prepared to fight that lie to the death and spend ridiculous amounts of taxpayers' money, because it's not their money, in order to try to defend and cover up their lie, and then not even take ownership and then just move on to the next thing. How anybody could watch and how the government fund an organization like that, or allow an organization like that to be funded, is ridiculous. Who is the minister or senator, whatever the term is for the politician, who oversees that? There seems to be, there must be a heck of a lot more at play here than just this. There must be a number of other people that need certain things out in the media so that they can continue to profit, or whatever it is, through whatever it is that they're doing. And it just it's just ridiculous, man. Anyway, appreciate again being sent the link to react to this. Apologies if some of my rants went on a bit longer than what they should. I think I do that anyway in my reactions. Apologies for that. But this really sucked, man. This it hurts from a veteran's perspective, seeing other veterans, and in particular one veteran in this case who I didn't know at all, but Mr. Heston Russell and his platoon being targeted, being affected when they did nothing wrong. And they gave all the footage, and why the media couldn't just use that, the way it was, to portray and highlight the incredible work they had done in that case, and more than likely many other jobs and operations that they'd been on. They instead chose to create something and just fabricate something to make them look like war criminals. Is that what being a soldier is all about, going over and fighting to defend and fight for the freedoms and the luxuries that people like this in the ABC get to enjoy. It's sad, man. Really, really sad. I don't know what other way to put it, other than it'd be nice if ABC was just scrapped altogether and get rid of those clowns and get somebody with better oversight, with some morals and integrity for starters, to be overseen and in charge of that space. So anyway, appreciate your time, and your support of this channel, and those that have, supported Heston Russell through the difficulties which he's been through, to say the least. So, with that being said, it's just another reminder and a testament to me that regardless of any of the challenges, difficulties, trials that you or I or we may be going through, how important it is for us to keep turning up, to keep staying in the fight, to put one foot in front of the other, and to take one day at a time, and to know and trust that things can do and will get better, and that things are worth fighting for. If we want things to get better, it is 100%, in my experience, worth fighting for. And here is another example of how important and how worth it is to keep fighting. There is a light at the end of that tunnel, so just stick at it. As always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me to you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation and gratitude, as well as a warning to stay away from the ABC network in Australia. They are a piece of trash.